Hey guys, how's it going? It's Matt from Fidelity Gaming TV, and we are going to talk some NHL today. I haven't done that in a long time. Used to do it a lot, but we haven't. So I'm going to do it today, just going off of the NHL playoffs. All the matchups are set. The regular season ended yesterday, and I'm just going to be giving you guys my predictions on who I think is going to win each round and each matchup, and who ultimately is going to win the Stanley Cup. So what I've based these picks on is my NHL bracket challenge. If you haven't done that already, you should probably do that. It's really fun. Just go on NHL.com or the NHL app, whatever you have, and you'll see the NHL Stanley Cup playoff bracket challenge there. Just go ahead and pick all your teams that you want to have win your matchups, and that is that. So I'm not going to make this video too long. Just kind of want to go through each one. The first round, you predict the winners and the amount of games it's going to take to win, and then the rest of the rounds, you just pick who's going to win. You don't have to pick the amount of games. So we are going to start off in the Western Conference. First matchup is the St. Louis Blues and Minnesota Wild. None of these picks, by the way, are, I mean, they're not biased, but they're just like, they're my picks. So if you don't like it, tell me what you think would happen in your mind. But these are my picks, so, they're not the facts, obviously. So anyways, first pick, I have Minnesota beating St. Louis in 7 games. I really do think that Minnesota can pull off the upset because of, one, their excellent goaltending with Devin Dubnyk. He's playing very well, and I think that he can really help them. But I also think that, St. Louis just has not done well in the playoffs in the past. I know Minnesota hasn't really gotten that far either, but St. Louis just has really struggled. I know it's been against Chicago, but I don't know. They're a good team, and they have good players, but I just feel like they're not going to be ready for Minnesota. They are a very electric team, ready to play and win some games, and I think it's going to be a close series. I know, that's why I said 7 games. So I think Minnesota is going to beat St. Louis in 7 games. Next matchup, we have the Nashville Predators and the Chicago Blackhawks. I picked Chicago to win this one in 6 games just because Chicago has a better offense. I'm not sure when they're going to get Patrick Kane back. I think they're going to get him back either towards the end of the first round or in the second round. So even if they don't have him, I still think they can win. I know Nashville has Pekka Rinne and they have a little more goal scoring, but I just feel like Chicago is more Stanley Cup playoff built, and ultimately, since Nashville hasn't been playing as good as they started off the season, they're still playing good, but they still haven't played as good. Chicago's been playing well, and I think that they are going to, since they're more playoff built, win the series in 6 games. So next matchup, we have the Anaheim Ducks and the Winnipeg Jets, the two teams, or the two main teams that had Teemu Selanne, and I think the Ducks are going to win this one in 6 games. As much as I would like Winnipeg to win this series, I just think that they'll get a couple. I think they might win the 2 games that are in Winnipeg, but they're going to be not gonna. I don't think they're gonna win the series. I think Anaheim is, even though they've been choking in the past, I think they're good this year. Their goaltending is pretty solid for the most part. Their offense is always really, really good, and they have a really good young defense, or a mix of young and old defense. So I think Winnipeg will make it close, but ultimately I think Anaheim's going to win this in 6 games. So the next matchup is going to be Vancouver and Calgary. This is a really good series because they're both two Northwestern Canadian teams battling it out. 2 teams that maybe no one expected to make the playoffs this year. Maybe Vancouver, but Calgary, definitely a lot of people said they probably wouldn't make it. I actually have Calgary upsetting the Vancouver Canucks in 7 games. I just think that they're the more electrifying team right now. Vancouver's good. I'm not sure when they're getting Ryan Miller back. I don't know if he's already back, but even with Ryan Miller, I think that the Flames will find a way to get past him. Their offense is knowing how to get it done here, and their goaltending is doing pretty good right now. So I think that, even though that's they're the lower seeded team, that I think they can pull up the upset in 7 games. So it's going to be a close series, but I'm picking Calgary over Vancouver in 7. So now we will go to the Eastern Conference side of things, and Montreal and Ottawa. This is also a very good matchup, this time between 2 Northeastern Canadian teams. Even though same with Winnipeg, I really do want Ottawa to win this series because they're kind of like the underdogs, like the Winnipeg Jets. I do think Montreal is going to win this in 6 games, and that's why I have them winning it in 6 games, just because they're more playoff built. I think Ottawa is doing very well with their goaltender, Andrew Hammond, but on the other end, you got Carey Price, and it's going to be really, really hard to score on him. So as much as Hammond's going to carry this team, and their offense is doing pretty good, Stone and Bobby Ryan, and all those guys, Zibanejad, they're all going to play very well, but I just think it's Carey Price is going to stop him, and Montreal's offense is very good. So this can be a little close. I have Montreal winning this one in 6 games. So next up, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Detroit Red Wings. Tampa Bay last year, the only reason they got swept by Montreal is because Ben Bishop wasn't in net. This year, he's in net, very healthy, playing very well. I think this is the reason they beat the Detroit Red Wings, and in big fashion. I think they do it in 5 games, and that is because Detroit, I know that they had a really good start to the season, but lately they've just been slipping up big time. They haven't been playing very well, and they've just, I didn't say squeaked in the playoffs because they did clinch a couple days before, but they definitely fell down quite a bit, and Tampa Bay is on the uprise while Detroit is not doing so well. So I think Tampa Bay is going to catch Detroit on a good time here, not doing too well, and I think they're going to win the series in 5 games. Next matchup, we have the Rangers and the Penguins. Penguins, really, they're the underdogs, but they do have a lot of talent, as a lot of people know. If they get hot, they can do something, but I still think they won't be able to beat the Rangers, which is why I have the Rangers beating the Penguins in 6 games. I just think that overall the Rangers are a better built team. Fleury, I know that a lot of people criticize him in the playoffs. I don't know if that's going to happen again, if he's going to have like a 3rd or 4th straight year of choking in the playoffs, but Henrik Lundqvist knows how to play. They got to the final last year. I think that they can go pretty far this year, which is why I have them beating the Penguins, who have struggled in the last part of the season. I have them beating the Penguins in 6 games. Next series in the first round. This was probably the hardest series to pick out of all the first round matchups. Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders. 2 reasons why it was hard. One, because I don't really watch these teams that much, and I don't know that much about them. I know enough, but not that much. And also because, yeah, these two teams are very closely matched up. So I think that the Islanders are going to win, technically pulling off the upset because they are the 3 seed. Washington's the 2 seed. I have the Islanders winning this series in 6 games. I think that they have a solid goaltender now in Yaroslav Halak. I think that John Tavares, Kyle Okposo, all those guys are really going to lead them. And their defense is very good too. Johnny Boychuk, before the season started, no one thought the Islanders were going to be this effective. But they're doing very well for themselves. And as a result, I think they win this series in 6 games over Washington, who has offense, but really not too much else. They have a pretty good defense, I guess, but Braden Holtby, I just don't think is going to be able to handle the pressure. So we'll move to the second round now. You see all the matchups are set. First, in the Western Conference, we have the Minnesota Wild and the Chicago Blackhawks. I feel so bad for Minnesota. They face Chicago like every single year in the playoffs, and that is why they get stopped. This year, I'm still going with Chicago. They've won it in the past against Minnesota a bunch of times, and I still think they will. Minnesota is a very good team. They could challenge them more. I don't have a serious prediction on how many games. I'm thinking 6 or 7. It's going to be close, but I think Chicago's going to come out in the end because I think they'll have Patty Kane by now, and they're more playoff built. In the other Western Conference matchup, we have Anaheim and Calgary. Jonas Hiller facing his former team. I still have Anaheim winning. I know Calgary is a very electrifying team, but Anaheim's offense is just really, really good, and their defense is pretty good too. So I think Calgary, this is a very good year for them, making the playoffs and even getting to the second round if my predictions are correct. But they're going to lose to Anaheim here in the second round. So we'll go to the Eastern Conference now. We have Montreal and Tampa Bay, a matchup or a rematchup of last year's first round in the Eastern Conference. And I think Tampa Bay is going to win this one this time. I think Montreal is very well built, but so is Tampa Bay. They have so much young talent, so much young. I don't say promise because they are showing the promise and they are already good. So I think Montreal, even though with Carey Price, I think they're going to do really well. I think the series could probably go 7 games. It's going to be really, really close. But in the end, I think Tampa Bay's offense and good goaltending will just be a little better than Montreal's. Maybe not goaltending-wise, but I think that when it comes to scoring goals, Tampa Bay is just going to be a tiny bit better. So I see this probably going 7 games, but Tampa Bay will come out with the win. Next matchup is a really good one. We have the Rangers and the Islanders. If this were to happen, it'd be awesome because both these franchises hate each other and want to get back at each other. So I have the Rangers winning this one in, I didn't really predict a series length, but I'm thinking probably 6 games just because the Islanders, yeah, they're going to fight back and they're going to win a couple of games, I'm thinking, but it's, the Rangers made a cup run last year. They have Henrik Lundqvist. They picked up Keith Yandel in the trade deadline. Really good defense. And their offense with Rick Nash, Marty St. Louis, all those guys leading the way, I think it's really, really going to help them get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I have them beating the New York Islanders in the second round. So that will take us to the conference finals. In the Western Conference, we have the Chicago Blackhawks and the Anaheim Ducks. And I'm going to have to go with Chicago on this one. don't really care for either of these teams because I'm a Sharks fan and I really don't like any of these teams, but I'm going to go with Chicago just because they'll definitely have Patrick Kane by this point, and even though Anaheim's offense is really good, so is Chicago's, and at this point in time, I think that Chicago is in the full mode playoffs, third round, ready to go. I think they beat Anaheim. It's going to be a close series, though. I'm thinking probably 6 games. And then on the other side of things, in the Eastern Conference, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Rangers. New York Rangers went to the Cup last year, and I don't see them going back this year. I know they are very well built, and this was a very hard series to predict. But I think Tampa Bay can edge this out. I really think Tampa Bay is one of the top contenders for the Stanley Cup this year, which is why I have them beating the New York Rangers, probably in 7 games too. It's the Tampa Bay Lightning are facing a lot of good teams. Detroit is easy, but I think, well, in my opinion, it's easy. I think they'll get past that pretty easy. But then they have to face Montreal and New York. I think both those series are going to 7 games. I think Tampa Bay wins the conference finals against New York in 7 games. It's going to be really, really close. But I think Tampa Bay's offense is just a bit better than New York's, which is why I have them going to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Chicago Blackhawks. And I really want Tampa Bay to win the series. I really do. They deserve it. But at the same time, I think that the Chicago Blackhawks are just a little bit better, and as a result, I have them beating the Tampa Bay Lightning. Not sure how many games, but I'm going to have the 2015 Stanley Cup champions as the Chicago Blackhawks. So even though Tampa Bay is a really good team, this could go pretty far, 6 or 7 games. Chicago's just more playoff built. Tampa Bay is a really good team. Like I said, really good chance to win the Cup, and I'm definitely going to be rooting for them. However, in reality, I think Chicago's probably going to win just because they are more playoff built. In the future, though, Tampa Bay, as they get, as their younger players get even better than they already are, they're going to be more playoff built. So as much as I want the Lightning to win, the Chicago Blackhawks, in my opinion, are going to win the Stanley Cup. They're going to have Patrick Kane back. They're going to have a really good defense, a really good offense like usual. Corey Crawford doesn't even have to play that well. He just has to play, average, maybe a tiny bit above average, because he has a really good defense in front of him and a really good offense in front of him. So that is that. I had the total amount of goals in this final series at 39. I figured probably about 6 goals, 3 to 5, 6 goals a game. If it goes 6 or 7 games, it's about 35. We'll give it a little more. So I said 39. But I have the 2015 Stanley Cup champions as the Chicago Blackhawks. Feel free to let me know what you think is going to happen. Make sure to go ahead and check out the bracket challenge on NHL.com. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Peace.